to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. I am so excited to be here. It's Thursday. It's our Thursday bold predictions episode. And I'm waving my hands in the air in excitement.
Like you just don't care.
Like I just don't care. In excitement for our bold predictions episode. I started writing the notes down for this. I started putting my thoughts together.
Evidence behind
factual evidence behind my takes.
That's the best part about hot takes.
Yeah. He's like,
there is no facts. There is no facts. There is no evidence. This is just straight out of the oven.
Also, I read a tweet earlier today that says that I believe tomorrow is the first official training camp day for one team.
What?
And I don't remember who it is.
It's probably like
the Titans or something stupid.
It's either the Titans
I'm
or
surprised Bill didn't try to come up with the earliest time to do training camp.
No, dude, they play mini golf now.
We're Patriots fans in case this is the first time you're listening. So when we refer to Bill, we're talking about Coach Belichick. Yeah. 90% of our audience just tuned out.
Yeah, the Patriots.
We don't brag about being Patriots fans.
No, we don't.
Six.
Okay, all right. Now you just.
It is time for our bold predictions show. Before we get into our bold prediction and a quick question to start the show, be sure to go over to Twitter and follow us or like us or whatever you want to call it on Twitter at the FF Champs, Instagram at the Fantasy Champions, on Facebook and on Facebook.com/the Fantasy Champions. Subscribe wherever you listen, wherever you're listening right now. Take the time just to hit the subscribe button. Most likely it's on Apple.
Click.
I don't even know where the subscribe button is on Apple, but you'll find it eventually. And if you are on Apple, make sure you go down below and leave a review. And I keep saying I'll stop, but this time I'll keep going. I don't know if you can listen to the show and leave a review at the same time. That's probably possible.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Am I right?
Try it right now. And go to YouTube. Click the bell for notifications. Leave a comment on any of our videos. And share this podcast with your friends. Let's get started with an icebreaker question.
Okay.
I'm extra excited. I don't know what it is today.
Yeah,
is it the fact that is it the fact that training camp starts soon, or is the fact that I just get to spit some bold takes that I've been holding in to make myself not look like an idiot?
It's definitely the last one.
Let's start off with an icebreaker question. Who is your favorite player that's not in the top 20 for the 2019 season?
Okay. Will you kill me if I say...
Oh, no.
Who we both know
I'm not ready for this.
We both know I really want to say.
Enlighten me.
So this is kind of an odd question, first of all, because who is my favorite player outside of the top 20?
Yeah, because I didn't want you to take McCaffrey.
Well, who's my real favorite player?
McCaffrey.
Patrick Mahomes, dude.
Oh, that's right. Okay, forget
32.
Patty.
Okay.
Wait, no quarterbacks allowed.
So
you were gonna take Patrick Mahomes, you loser. You freaking kidding me?
Okay, so here's a guy who's not in the top 20, but I think he probably should be, which might surprise some people. That's Leonard Fournette. The dude right now is ranked 32, which if he falls to me in our draft and I have the 10th overall pick, so that's what, 29th, I think?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. The last pick in the third round and I take him, I'm going to turn up, man, because I think this guy has the potential to be a top 5 running back this year. And I'm not even kidding. Maybe like when I say top 5, like 5th. But he has that kind of ceiling where he is going to be the focal point of that offense. He is the guy. Mm-hmm. And when he's out there, he's a machine. Like, he consistently is an RB1 when he is on the field. Now, injuries are legitimate concern.
Right.
He's dumb, some people will say. Legitimate concern. Off the field issues type things, like getting suspended and whatnot.
Right.
But you can say those things about, I say this all the time, you can say those things about a lot of guys in this league. You can say that about guys in the top
NFL,
10.
yeah.
Melvin Gordon, you could say that about. You could say that about Zeke. You could say that about, like, Todd Gurley, obviously.
What about the injuries, though? Does that concern you at all?
It does a little bit, but not as like it's the same as Melvin Gordon to me.
There are people who are actually, because there are two types of injuries. Mm-hmm. There are the injuries that you can fully recover from, and then there are the injuries that you can't fully recover from.
Yeah.
The ones that linger and hold. And usually ankle and leg injuries kind of linger for quite a while. And I believe Leonard Fournette had ankle problems last year. So I don't know if that's going to affect him. I'm not a doctor. I couldn't tell you. But I think that I don't disagree with you. I think Leonard Fournette's really good, but he's been a guy that for some reason I've been like back and forth on. I've been like, okay, I really want him. Okay, I really don't. Okay, I really want him. Okay, I really don't. Fortunately for me, like 90% of the leagues I'm drafting in, I'm probably not going to end up with him.
Yeah.
So, but I don't disagree with you. Okay. But your love affair with Leonard Fournette has just begun.
It has. He's on the list now.
He's on the list.
Now, who's your lover?
This is going to be a surprising little take for you. And maybe not considering the last few weeks, but Aaron Jones.
Oh, that's a little surprising.
Because you know how I felt about Aaron Jones last year.
Yeah, you absolutely.
I think it was because he was on your team.
Yes. I remember I was like, dude, I got this like running back nobody's talking about, Aaron Jones. Because you said I had a big problem at flex, and I picked him up off the waiver wire, I think, and he had like 2 straight weeks of 15 points or something like that. And I was like, dude, he's really good. And you're like, no, he stinks. Aaron Jones blows. He's a terrible running back. Yeah. And now here we are. Tables have turned, haven't they? I
was going to take Kenyon Drake, but
that's kind of going off the board a little bit.
We'll talk about him later. So that's it's a little bit concerning. I like Aaron Jones because of a couple of things. He's an extremely talented tight end. I mean, I'm still on our tight end show.
Yeah.
I'm still a mess from our tight end show.
Haven't recovered.
Extremely talented running back who has shown when he gets the opportunity, he can produce. The problem with Aaron Jones has been the problem that you've seen with a guy like, by the name of, like I've said, Kenyon Drake. Mm-hmm. It's been coaching. It's been, we want to use Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. And the concern for me with Aaron Jones, the only thing that I'm worried about is Matt LaFleur took half a season trying to figure out how the freak to use Derrick Henry. And if that happens to Aaron Jones, a lot of people are going to be very low on him and are going to fade him for most of the season, if not all of it. And that has been the one thing that has held me back. But I think he's going to get the opportunity. This is a guy who finished the last couple years with 1 fantasy point per opportunity.
Yeah.
And if he gets 250 touches, 260, 270 touches, this is a guy that could finish in the top 10. And to get him in the 3rd round is absolutely crazy to me. Like I think that like 3rd or 4th, sometimes in the 4th round, this guy's falling sometime in the 4th round at times. Like it is just, to me, I think Aaron Jones is the guy that I'm going to go with. I have a man crush on him, and I'm going to ride that until I die.
I don't disagree with that. I like Aaron Jones. I wouldn't take him over Leonard Fournette. I know you probably will, though.
No.
Oh, you really?
Probably not. No. Well, I don't remember what my rankings say.
Let's see. I mean, the Fantasy Pro says Aaron Jones ranked ahead of him.
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting. I don't think that Leonard Fournette's going ahead of Aaron Jones, though, at this point. Right?
Aaron Jones is ahead of Leonard Fournette as of right now.
In ADP?
Mm-hmm.
Flip.
Well, let me check the fantasy football calculator.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Aaron Jones is ahead of Leonard Fournette by 2 slots.
What?
Both going in the 3rd round, though.
Well, anyway, those are our favorite players that aren't in the top 20. I was going to do something like ask a question about a player that we really shouldn't love, but we still do.
Oh.
If that was the case, I'd still love
I'd still say Mahomes. I mean, Leonard Fournette.
Let's just move into our bold prediction segment of the show.
The
main event.
Yeah.
I've waited all offseason for this one show just so I can spew nonsense and get away with it.
And use, actual facts and evidence like it'll prove something.
So I'm going to start with my bold prediction and my bold take.
Okay.
Which one should I choose first? The hottest one or the
Were you gonna say the hottest one or the spiciest one?
I think they're both the same. I'll start off with Derrick Henry, and this is not the spiciest or hottest take on this list.
This is kind of the lightest one, actually.
This is kind of light. I'll start off with this one to ease people into my psychoticness. Derrick Henry is probably going to be... No, you know what? Derrick Henry will be a massive bust this year.
Oh, there it is.
People are investing second, third, fourth round picks in a guy who can't pass catch, who was awful 90% of last year. And he's completely game script dependent, and he's in a new system. So you're telling me that Derrick Henry is going to come out next year and shred the field and destroy his opponents like he did in one game last year or two games or whatever it was?
2.5, actually.
Derrick Henry is just not a great running back, and in a half PPR setting
solid.
and a PPR setting, he's capped. That's my problem with Derrick Henry mostly, is that he's capped to a top, I want to say 12 finish. Like the highest he'll go is 12. And I think the reason behind that is because all he's going to do is run the football. And there are way better running backs who can catch balls. Like there are running backs that can do what he does on the ground and catch the football. And so I think with Derrick Henry, the reason why I think he's going to be a massive bust is because he can't pass catch, and 75% of the season, if you take out those two really good games he had, he averaged like 3 yards a carry.
So, but is that maybe a thing where the Titans are like, oh, he's actually good, we should use him now?
They utilized him even before that. It was just how they utilized him that changed. But Matt LaFleur is no longer the offensive coordinator. They have a new offensive coordinator now. So
maybe he saw things that they did with Derrick Henry and
I don't know
might want to utilize them.
Coordinator is for the.
Ooh, that's a question I'd lose on.
Yeah. He's like, I have no idea.
And this question for $1 million: who is the Titans' new offensive coordinator?
I believe it was the tight end coach, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, promotion from within with the Tennessee Titans offense. That's great strategies. Hey, but that goes against your Derrick Henry point, though, because maybe it's like, oh, we've seen what we did with Derrick Henry last year. Let's continue.
They promoted their tight end's assistant to offensive coordinator.
Wow, that's
his name is Arthur Smith. So, hey, maybe they do use him. I don't know. I just don't think that there's going to be the more I looked at his numbers, the more scary it got for me. That was kind of the biggest thing.
Derrick Henry is definitely like a boomer bust player.
He's like over the first 12 games of the season, Rick, he had 128 attempts, 474 yards, 3.7 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns, with 15 targets and 12 receptions. So he's not going to do anything for you through the air. He prorates out 171, 632, and 7 touchdowns, which is absolute garbage. So if you take those 2 or 3 games away where he played really well, then you have a crappy running back in a crappy system and a crappy offense that's being run by the assistant tight ends coach. He's just going to be a massive bust. That's my hot take. Massive bust.
Okay.
Go ahead with yours.
I'm not like fully against that because I think he is a boomer bust guy. I actually like Derrick Henry though. I don't like where he's getting taken though.
Yeah.
But
if he was like a 6th or 7th round pick, I'd be okay. I think the value is
where
just
is he, like third round right now? Fourth round?
Like I think it's so far off from what he actually is because people are so hyped up on Derrick Henry.
He's fourth round.
It's just like I would take him in the 6th or 7th. But I don't want to draft him knowing that he's going to be a starter on my team. Because then he busts and it's like, it's another. This is what I see. He has Jordan Howard written all over him.
Would you take Kerryon Johnson or Derrick Henry?
Kerryon Johnson.
Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry?
Josh Jacobs.
Okay. David Montgomery's going in the 4th round right now.
Yeah, I know.
What the heck happened? He just...
People watched a few videos on him on YouTube and he got
They watched
sweaty.
their mixtape, the college mixtape.
No, it's even worse than that. His workouts with his trainer.
All right.
Juking around trash cans and...
I want you to tell me how hot this take is. Because I can't see the oven right now.
Is this your bold prediction?
You gotta tell me... Yes, this is my bold prediction. You gotta tell me what the oven is set on when I take this out, all right?
Okay.
Here we go. Bold prediction. 420.
450.
All
It's
right.
getting hotter.
Carson Wentz will be a top 5 quarterback this year in fantasy football.
That's like 300.
Also, it's like a moderate.
It's
So
a
we're
moderate
both
take.
starting off with moderate takes.
Yeah,
then.
moderate takes.
I think I've said this in previous shows with Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
He, to me, will be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy this year. I know that's a bit. I think he's ranked 10th right now,
Yeah.
and he's going like in the 10th round ish. So to say he's top 5 is definitely a stretch a little bit. But here's why I say that. He's coming off the ACL injury now, 2 years removed.
Okay.
So if you look at previous quarterbacks coming off big injuries like that, it usually does take them a year. Tom Brady, when Aaron Rodgers had his big injury, he wasn't the same the very next year. Peyton Manning, same thing.
Yeah.
It usually does take quarterbacks a full year to kind of get readjusted to everything, especially for Carson Wentz, who is a young quarterback. It was his 3rd year in the league.
Yeah.
Or actually, was it his 3rd year in the league? Yes, it was his 3rd year in the league when he got injured. So he's still developing anyway. So it doesn't help that he had to deal with that
Right.
as well. So statistically speaking, people kind of like, oh, like someone like you who drafted him early.
Burned.
Is like, yeah, he stunk. It was just one good year. Well, was it one good year by a second-year quarterback that fantasy-wise was going to be the number 1 fantasy quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, he finished in 2017. He played 13 games. He finished 5th. He was only 20. I just looked it up. He was like 15 fantasy points away from finishing number 2 in 3 less games played.
Yeah.
So chances are
He's a number
unless he
2 quarterback in fantasy over 12
if
weeks.
he absolutely blew in the last 3 weeks, he was still going to finish number 2. And if he was what he was pretty much doing in the last 12 weeks, he had a really good chance of finishing number 1.
Yeah.
So he was fantastic that year. Last year, obviously, we know, was not great at all. Where did he finish last year? Do you know?
I'll pull it up right now.
It wasn't. I don't think it was top 10 though, was it? And if it was like barely top 10. But again, the full year removed.
He wasn't even close.
Yeah.
22.
Oh wow. Did he? But he didn't play. He played like half the season last year, didn't he?
He missed the first 4 weeks and the last 4 weeks.
So half the season. Yeah.
It says he played 11 games though, so maybe I was wrong.
He probably came in, or was like, I think Nick Foles came in for him for one game.
All
and
I
then
know
he had
is
the
he
game where he had
sucked.
minus like 2 points too. So you have to take that into account. But yeah, he was not great last year. But the offense has gotten better on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Jackson is a very solid move that not a lot of people are talking about. He's got, again, a full year being healthy. Their running game has improved. Their offensive line, they've added a few things here and there. Their whole team overall, I think, personally, will be good this year.
Right.
And better than what they were last year. And honestly, I see him as being a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
I don't disagree with you. I think you're a little bullish on Carson Wentz lately, but we both are, so I'll take it. Carson Wentz, here's the big thing, and I've said this before, is you can't allow something like, because I drafted Carson Wentz in probably the worst possible spot.
5th round.
6th round. And
6th round.
I could have gotten Joe Mixon.
Ooh,
And I
hurts.
took Carson Wentz instead, and I've talked about that before in our personal league. And I think that for me, I could look at that and say, Carson Wentz burned me. I'm backing off. I don't want to be near this guy. I don't want to have anything to do with him. Or I could look at it and say, in arguably his MVP season in 2017, he finished with, a QB2 finish, a number 2 overall quarterback finish over the course of 12 games, and he still finished in the top 5, even though he missed some parts of the end of that season because of his ACL injury. Last year, he was recovering from that ACL injury. There was a lot of shifting in the offense. They just came off of a Super Bowl win, which never really works out for teams anyway.
Yeah.
So I think for Carson Wentz, he will improve this year. My thing with Carson Wentz is the fact that he's going to have to get back. He's going to have to go from average quarterback to MVP level again in order to get in the top 5. And I think that is where the line is drawn, where I think he can do it. He's done it before. It's just a matter of, can he get back to that? He's got the talent around him. He's got a good offensive line. We'll see if he can do it. but I don't know if he will. That's
Okay.
that's why I won't step into the bold take yet.
I think he will. And if he doesn't though this year,
Yeah,
I'm not sure he ever will.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very telling year for Carson Wentz.
He's
Or
just
ever will
gotta-
again, I should say.
His
'cause he did.
his biggest thing too is staying on the field, because the question is how much of the season did he suffer, that back injury, like, because I remember I had him starting when he had that negative fantasy point week where he was just completely awful.
Oh, that is right. Yeah.
And I started him that week, and so for me it was just a matter of trying to figure out why that happened. I think it was because he threw 3 picks, I believe, because he threw 156 yards and 3 picks. So what is that? 4 fantasy points minus 6.
Yeah. That's yeah.
So, but outside of those games, I mean, he had some really good games during the season, and he was not a bad quarterback. Prorate out his whole season, he had 4,471 yards, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And he did a little bit of running, 135 yards on the ground. So he wasn't a bad quarterback last year. And I think if you were to take him, what did I say? You finished 12.
Yeah.
If you were to look at his numbers, 22, I'm sorry. You were to give him those 17 more points per game in the last 6 games that he would have played, you can definitely see him finishing in maybe the top 12, I want to say. He would have finished with, let me just do the math really fast. He would have finished with 303 fantasy points, which would have put him at number 7 if he played the rest of the season. So he had some big bust games. He had some situations where it didn't work. Is it unreasonable for Carson Wentz to jump into the top 5 this year? No, I just don't know if he will.
Okay. That's fair.
Are you ready for my my number 2 bold take?
Yeah, go for it.
So this one's a little bit hotter. Turn the stove up, and I'll finish with my hottest take. Kenyon Drake will finish as a low-end RB1.
Oh, that is a hot take. We might have to turn that a little up.
Hold on, let me get my mitts on for this. Bold predictions. So let's. If I get this right,
this is a bold prediction. Yes,
it's a bold prediction. Kenyon Drake.
I hope
will
one
finish.
of us gets something like very right.
Derrick Henry. Wow,
your guy.
I've talked about the fantasy point per opportunity for running backs before.
Yep.
And Kenyon Drake is one of those guys. He finished with 198 fantasy points last year. I think it was a low-end RB2. Kenyon Drake, to me, if you were to look at him this year, and last year the problem with him was more specifically is that he didn't get opportunities. So if you look at him this year, what in the past, what was his problem?
The fact that Frank Gore was ahead of him.
Adam Gase.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Kenyon Drake he's been in the league for the entirety of Adam Gase's existence with the Dolphins. And for me, when you look at a guy like Kenyon Drake, he is talented. He's talented enough and productive enough to be a high-end running back in this league. A lot of people look at him. You got to look at his numbers, and you have to look at his efficiency to see what type of player he is.
He's very good.
He's not being properly used. So for me, they're a complete change in system. You get basically what the Patriots have coming in. The only guy you have behind Kenyon Drake is Kalen Ballage at this point. They didn't add anybody at the running back position. And Kenyon Drake's going to come in. He's a pass-catching back. He knows he gets 5 yards of carry on the ground, and he gets 1 fantasy point per opportunity. If this guy touches the ball 250 times, which I don't think is unreasonable, he will get 240 to 250 fantasy points, which is what? A top 10 finish in fantasy football. A lot of people are looking at Kenyon Drake, and they're saying, and I've been waiting so long to say this, a lot of people are looking at Kenyon Drake and saying, okay, I'm going to wait till the 6th and 7th round to take him. And, like you see him and you see other guys, and you're like, I'm not going to take Kenyon Drake. I'll take Tariq Cohen, or I'll take somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Kenyon Drake. And the reason why I'm going to take Kenyon Drake is because I think he's the Joe Mixon of this draft. I think he's the Joe Mixon of the fantasy football this year, where he's in the 5th, late 5th, early 6th round. You'll snag him, and he'll end up being a top 10 running back. And next year, people will be drafting him far too high, and then he'll fall like to the Patriots system, or he'll become a free agent and go somewhere where he can be good. But Kenyon Drake is just far too efficient and far too good not to utilize if you're a smart coach.
Who's their offensive coordinator?
Chad O'Shea, who is the quarterback coach of the New England Patriots.
Oh, it is. Okay,
it's a Patriot system thing. Yeah, and you saw how they utilized. They don't necessarily.
So they do like to use. New England does like to use multiple running backs.
I think that's more specifically because Bill likes to put multiple backs on a team and say, he likes to utilize players for specific purposes. So he likes the ability for Sony Michel to run the football. He likes Damian Harris's change of pace. He likes the fact that James White can catch the ball. Kenyon Drake can do all of that. And Kalen Ballage is a good running back. So to back him up, I think the biggest thing is that what the Patriots do is they utilize a player's abilities. So and that's what Patriots players always do. Like a lot of people are like, "What do you mean?" And everyone else does the same thing. Well, no, you sign one guy and
to do one thing.
Do your job. The Patriots bring in guys who do things really really good. Maybe not like James White would never be a good running back, like a running back.
Yeah.
But he's a really good pass catching back. And so the Patriots utilize that.
They're probably one of the best in the league, honestly. Very underrated at that.
Right. And so I think the way that the Dolphins are going to utilize Kenyon Drake is going to be to his talents. And his talents are pass catching and his talents are running. And I think they'll utilize him in both. Look, I don't think it's unreasonable for him to get 250 touches.
So
that's why.
I don't agree with your take. I think that's a little too hot for me. But the idea that he could be the next Joe Mixon and people are kind of sleeping on him, he's going in the 6th round, but he could be a low-end RB1. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. I just really don't see that happening. With the amount of talented running backs there are in this league, for him to finish as a top 10 running back this year, he's going to have to do a lot. First of all, I think the offensive line, I'm not too familiar with the Miami Dolphins offensive line, I got to be honest with you. But last time I checked, they were pretty garbage. Their quarterback...
And the efficiency for Kenyon Drake was still there, which shows you something.
Yeah. Did it get better, though?
Kenyon Drake or the offensive line?
The line.
I don't know.
I don't think they... Yeah. I don't really keep up with Dolphins O-line moves, to be honest with you. But I don't think it's very good.
This will be the last year I love Kenyon Drake, by the way. If he doesn't succeed.
Oh, yeah. The whole team blows, though, too.
Yeah.
So you know what that means.
Don't make fun of him.
Kenyon Drake, he's got to do good.
Yeah.
But if they go down early in games, like they're just going to throw the ball like 40 times.
Yeah.
Like most crappy teams in the NFL.
So the metrics that I've used these metrics before, but the 4 metrics that I like to use to determine whether a running back is actually good or not, which Derrick Henry completely failed, which is why I put Derrick Henry on a downcast spell. Evaded tackles.
Okay.
Kenyon Drake had 60, which ranked 13th in the NFL on
pretty solid.
120 carries. 60 out of 120 is pretty that means the offensive line blew.
That yes.
Yeah. His juke rate was
sounds like a Madden rating.
It does sound like a Madden rating. I wish I could see the metric, but it's glitching out. 34.7%, which was number 7 in the NFL last year. His yards created per carry ranked number 20 at 1.52. And then his yards created was number 24 with 263. I think those two metrics are a little bit warped just because of the fact that he didn't get a lot of opportunity running the football. So for me, when I look at Kenyon Drake, he didn't benefit from an offensive line at all. In fact, one of the hardest things for running backs to do is to run against base front carries, and that's not a stacked front. It's just whether you're facing 3 or 4 down linemen, that's just what you're facing. NFL running backs have the hardest time running on a base front in a stacked front. So he had 4.7 yards per carry on a stacked front, 4.7 yards a carry on a base front, and then a light front, he had 4.3 yards a carry. So he was actually worse against a good, attack, I guess. Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
Good formation.
But so he had a pretty good opportunity. I think for him, it's just opportunity. It's getting more carries. It's getting more targets.
Dude, watch him trade for a veteran running back.
Yeah, that would suck. I'd completely die.
Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. Oh my God. But he had 61% of the snap and 45% of opportunity, which is low for a running back. So for me, I think Kenyon Drake is going to be I think he's going to be a low end RB1, and that's my bold take for that.
Okay. Kenyon Drake being a RB1, it's kind of bold, I guess. So since we're getting a little bolder,
I'm curious.
See, your bold predictions you're using a lot of like
Analytics.
Yeah, and facts.
Yeah,
I'm not really doing that with my bold prediction. I'm just using my alien brain that I got from Area 51.
My alien
All right.
brain, he says.
This is a bold prediction, okay? So don't roast me. This is the point. Is to say dumb stuff.
Or say something you believe in.
I do. Yeah, I mean, my heart. This is what my heart says.
Okay.
Corey Davis.
Oh no. I will disagree with this one.
Will finish as a top 12 fantasy wide receiver this year.
Wow, that is bold.
Yeah, I told you I was cranking up the oven a little bit. All right,
explain yourself, and then I'll
destroy me. So I've always had my love and affection for Corey Davis. Yep. He's probably my favorite wide receiver in the league, which I know is kind of, yeah.
I thought that was Julio Jones.
No, dude. It's Corey Davis by far. I mean, there's a reason I'm saying this right now, and he's ranked, I think, 31st.
I love how you spiced it down by saying top 12.
Yeah, I was gonna go top 10, but that's just that's just too much. Although top 12 is really not too much different. So here's my thing with Corey Davis. He is an insanely talented wide receiver. He was the 5th overall pick. He's got all the talent in the world. He's honestly, I think, as talented as some of the top receivers in the league. Mm. Obviously, production hasn't been there yet. He has gotten better each year, though. This is his 3rd year in the league, I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but no, it is. It is his 3rd year in the league. What is considered the big jump year for receivers?
3rd.
So this, 4th. Yeah, 3rd or 4th. But so this could be one of the big jump years, and I'm gonna laid out bold prediction that this is the jump year for Corey Davis. He, I think, will get probably, I don't want to say all the targets because they signed Adam Humphries, right? So he'll get a lot of slot targets, but other than that, Corey Davis will get pretty much all the targets on the team. Mm-hmm. I think they do want to use Derrick Henry more this year.
Right.
However, they struggled so much last year using Dion Lewis, and the Titans' overall offense wasn't it last, I think?
Yes. I don't think it was last, but it was bad.
It was, I'm pretty sure it was the 31st. It was one of the 3 worst offenses.
Well, I just yawned into the microphone and talked at the same time.
Is it because I'm talking about Corey Davis?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot what I was saying now that you yawned. But what I will say, so another thing you'll probably bring up is the quarterback. He has Marcus Mariota as his quarterback, bro.
They're not going to switch to Ryan Tannehill. That's already been confirmed.
Well, so, right.
Ryan Tan, my hill.
Marcus Mariota's favorite target, though, is Corey Davis. And Marcus Mariota is like 95% chance going to get hurt, right? Like, he's not going to. Because last year, one of the reasons I think their offense was so bad. Of course I'm trying, bro. This is my take.
He's like, it's my guy.
Oh,
it's
flip.
Corey Davis.
I'm trying to look at Blaine Gabbert.
Wow, that's not the guy you were looking for.
It is actually the guy I'm looking for. You know why? You know Blaine Gabbert played in half the games last year for the Titans?
Yep.
Are you telling me Ryan Tannehill, if that happens again, which it probably will because it's Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill is not a massive upgrade over Blaine Gabbert?
I wouldn't say massive.
I would say massive because I think Blaine Gabbert's probably the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Okay, all right.
So, and Ryan Tannehill, I think, is almost underrated. Like, he's actually pretty good. When he's healthy, he's actually decent. And he's never had a receiver, in my opinion, he's never had a receiver as good as Corey Davis.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying here is, a lot of the guys, I think, so if I'm looking at receivers and I say he could be top 12, I say he will be top 12. If I pull up the receivers list, I think, so there's a few guys that will definitely be like top 10 receivers, like Hopkins, Adams, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Odell, Juju. Then you got guys that I think could be iffy. I think T.Y. Hilton could have an off year. I'm not too sold on T.Y. Hilton just because has he ever been a top 10 fantasy wide receiver?
I don't think so.
They added more depth. Your boy Jack Doyle might be healthy for a whole year. There's just a lot of talent spread out on that team.
Yeah.
And he's injury prone. I have my doubts about T.Y. Hilton.
Or I can make him better and he ends up being a top 10.
He could be, but I'm just saying, I don't know. I have my doubts about a lot of guys in that range. I have my doubts about Keenan Allen, believe it or not.
T.Y. Hilton was a top 5 receiver in 2016.
Oh my gosh, was he?
Yep.
That came out of nowhere. But yeah, no.
Stats, bro. Stats.
Dude, this is bold predictions. We don't talk about stats. Keenan Allen. I'm not too sold about Keenan Allen either. I'm more just like the Phillip Rivers thing and old quarterbacks, but
yeah.
I could see him taking a drop off. There's like after you get to like the 6th or 7th receiver to me, or like 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
Even like Antonio Brown is a boomer bust player this year. Right? Most people would agree with that. So I think there is a chance that somebody, whether it's like a lot of people are saying like DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd, Dante Pettis, like there's a guy that's going to take a jump. Who's it going to be? I'm just saying Corey Davis has as good a chance as anybody.
I'm going to say these really fast because we got to move on to the last couple hot takes.
Okay.
Or bold predictions. I think, he doesn't have a consistent enough quarterback. I looked at his numbers, and I don't fully disagree with you in him succeeding. Like, I like Corey Davis, and I think he's going to be good. I just think that offense has had so long to try to figure itself out, and Marcus Mariota has had so long to try to figure itself out.
Yeah.
Or figure himself out. And it's just he's been hurt. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. His statistics per 16 games have gotten worse every single year. He has not improved or gotten better. So Marcus Mariota has to improve in order for Corey Davis to have any chance. So your take is basically saying it's like 2 takes in one. It's that Corey Davis is going to have a better season.
Dish. You put a little salt, you put a little pepper, and you know.
But so I personally, you can believe otherwise, but I personally believe Marcus Mariota or Ryan Tannehill have to be good in order for Corey Davis to take that step into a top 10 wide receiver.
I wouldn't say they have to be necessarily good. They do have to be better than what, like, Mariota has to be better than what he's been the last few years. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean, because Corey Davis was number 27 in fantasy football in 16 games this year.
Yeah, with Blaine Gabbert as quarterback for half, but
yeah. He was targeted 111 times, too, which is pretty good.
I think that number can only go up, honestly.
If he gets targeted 150 times and he improves his 58% catch rate, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But where he's going right now is late. So for me, I think Corey Davis is a player that you should target as I don't think he's going. How late is he going?
He was ranked the 31st wide receiver, so I don't know what that is.
Probably like the 10th round.
Corey Davis, 11th round.
So my thought is that Corey Davis is a guy that you want to target in that round. Like, I would definitely take him there.
Yeah.
Or 10th, 11th, 12th
these
round.
are bold predictions.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not going to take Corey Davis in like the 7th round.
Everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Rick told me to take him in the 6th round.
He said he was going to be a top 12 wide receiver.
I took him in the top 12. What are you doing? No. Value, people. Value. So I think Corey Davis is worth the look.
Yeah.
At the tight end position. I mean, again, with the tight ends.
It's like you're haunted by tight ends.
I know, it's true. At the wide receiver position, I think Corey Davis could be a top 15 wide receiver, a high-end RB2. I mean, wide receiver 2. Mike, what is happening to me right now?
Dude, I'm telling you, you're haunted.
Wide receiver 2. And I think that there is a good chance that he takes that leap. And that's why I would invest a draft pick into him. I just don't know if I can, like I said, make the leap into the conversation of being like that type of guy. But hey, this is all together as a fantasy champion. So if you get it right, I get it right too.
Okay, fine.
This is fine. All right. So this is a take I know you won't agree with. I saved the cheddar for last. My final bold prediction of the show is that Patrick Mahomes will not finish as a top 5 quarterback in 2019.
I'm off the set.
Now, hear me out.
I almost just walked away.
Your love of Patrick Mahomes needs to be put in a box to the left, like the Beyonce song.
Why? You just refer to Beyonce?
I did. So we all know that Patrick Mahomes had maybe one of the greatest seasons a quarterback has ever had in the NFL.
Yes.
This only leads to a touchdown and yards. We all know that he's going to have some form of a touchdown and a yards regression.
Right. There's no way.
There's no way he continues to keep up
even
with
the
that
biggest
pace.
Mahomes supporters like myself.
Yeah. I think so. Obviously, he's going to regress in yards, regress in touchdowns. There is going to be no Tyreek Hill for half the season. Even if he does come back, I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to be the difference between him and the top 5.
Okay.
QB1 quarterbacks don't finish as QB1s the year after. So there is, for people who want to draft Patrick Mahomes in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth round, or as the first quarterback off the board, I don't take him as the first quarterback off the board. I would bet money that he does not finish as a number 1 quarterback next year.
Okay.
So just to give you some metrics on this, there have been 2 quarterbacks that have, in the last 8 years, 2 quarterbacks who have, or I'm sorry, in the last 6 years, forgive me.
Quick math.
Quick math is not working out for me. In the last 6 years, there have been just 2 quarterbacks who have finished in the top 5 after finishing number 1 in fantasy football. So the following year, they finished in the top 5.
Okay.
It was in 2013. 2012, Drew Brees finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football. The following year, he finished number 2. In case you didn't know,
that's, pretty good.
Drew Brees is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Dude, Mahomes isn't. I'm kidding. You just looked at me like...
I looked at you like you were...
Yeah.
Let's give it like 5 years first. Peyton Manning in 2013 finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football. The following year, he finished 4. Also, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and going to be in the Hall of Fame. Since then, now, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be in the Hall of Fame and he's not at that level, but he's not the same type of quarterback as Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady, especially because he can't win Super Bowls or...
Well, see, that's just...
he's the best quarterback in the league right now.
We disagree with that.
Okay,
whatever. But okay.
Aaron Rodgers in 2014 finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. The following year, he finished 7. In 2015, Cam Newton finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. The following year, he finished 17.
Yeah, that was a...
Aaron Rodgers, the following year, finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. The following, the year after that, he finished as a number 29. He did get hurt that year, so I'll take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
In 2017, Russell Wilson finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. Following year, number 9. Patrick Mahomes finished the 2018 fantasy football season as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football. And in 2019, he'll be probably like 6 or 7. But I don't think he's going to finish in the top 5. And I just laid out very reasonable metrics to make that argument.
Yeah.
There are going to be people, because I see Patrick Mahomes is basically what Aaron Rodgers was when he was young. So I could see like what Aaron Rodgers did in 2014 as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. I could see him dropping to 6 or 7 the following year, similar to how Rodgers did. You just can't follow up a season like that. Assuming that Patrick Mahomes is going to be as good as he was last year,
Right.
is fooling yourself. And I think as a fantasy football player who has bought in on quarterbacks before and wanted to buy Rodgers after a number 1 overall season, and you draft him as the number 1 quarterback on the board,
Second round.
and then in the second round, and you get burned. Aaron Rodgers has done that before. We've seen quarterbacks like Tom Brady do that before, Peyton Manning do that before, Drew Brees do that before. It is so hard for a quarterback, especially a guy who's only in his 3rd year, to finish back-to-back seasons as a top-end quarterback, top 5 in fantasy football. It is so hard to do that. And so many people are going to draft Mahomes in the 2nd and 3rd round and they're going to get absolutely torched. Will I be buying Patrick Mahomes next season in the 7th or 8th round? Probably, yeah. But like
7th or
I just, if Mahomes repeats this, if he somehow repeats this, he would be defying history. Like
So can I
we're
get
not
a
just
quote?
we're
Just
not just
like-
we're not just talking about him doing something
finding
that
history.
we're not just talking about something that has never happened before. We're talking about something that is almost impossible to do.
So when Mahomes inevitably finishes in the top 5,
I'm not talking about finishing in the top 5. I'm talking about finishing like 1, 2, or 3.
Okay. So if Mahomes does finish 1, 2, or 3, can I just get some quotes from Morgan Colby?
Yeah, take as many quotes down as you want, and then
Greatest quarterback of all
suck
time.
it when I am right.
Greatest quarterback of all time. You want to say it? If he goes
Oh,
back
no.
to back?
Heck
Okay.
no.
I'm just trying to get some quotes.
that's
Would you be willing to put?
no.
So that just shows.
But
your
this is
faith
my
in your take.
bold prediction. I do believe. I think that, like I said, that there is other reasons why, and I've talked about this before, that I believe he's going to regress more than usual. I think it's more to the ends of last year when you drafted him. He started the season with one of the best running backs in football, with one of the best tight ends in football, with one of the best wide receivers in football, and one of the best offensive lines in football. Like, he had literally every piece dropped in front of him.
He did.
He's not going to have Tyreek Hill. He does not have Kareem
half the
Hunt.
season.
I believe they lost one of their offensive linemen, and they still have Travis Kelce, who they're going to throw an insane amount to. But the less talent you have, the harder it is to produce. If Patrick Mahomes produces at the level that he did last, I think the biggest thing that people are not realizing is that he's going to regress about 15 to 16 touchdowns next year. Like, he's not going to throw 40.
No. Well.
Bro, he's not going to throw 40 touchdowns.
How many did he throw last year?
50. Flat.
He might get 40. Bro.
No, he's not going to get 40.
He might get 40.
I mean, I can go give you the numbers of what quarterbacks get after they threw 50.
If he plays a full season.
Because Peyton Manning and Tom Brady.
I don't think he's going to throw 50 again. I don't even think he'll throw 45. But he might. He's
not going to throw 40. He might throw 35 to 38. Oh boy! Do you see the?
I would say 35 to 40.
I can't.
But that's saying.
I'm not going to disagree with that. But I've talked about this before. Do you know how many times in history there has been a quarterback to throw 40 or more touchdowns in a season? This has just happened. In the history of the NFL, it has happened 13 times. You're telling me that Patrick Mahomes is going to do it twice?
I think in the modern NFL, where they preach and all the rule
13
books,
13 times.
And all the rules right now are pro throwing the football, pass interference. I've never seen a league with as much inflated passing stats as we've seen.
Yeah,
I think it's possible.
I don't think it's. I think it's possible. Yes, that a quarterback could probably throw 40 touchdowns in 2 straight seasons. Yes, but it's not. Like I said, a lot of what you want, and what a lot of people are expecting from Patrick Mahomes is defying history. It's defying like what the norm is.
I'm not saying.
And if he does that, then he's one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen to play this game. But I don't think that's going to be the case. He's such a young quarterback. He played very well last year. He was very hot all season. Part of the reason why he got to that 50 touchdown threshold was because he had, 2 games with 6 touchdowns and 3 games with 5 touchdowns. That's not going to happen again. Rick. I don't know what I can't convince you. Your love of Patrick Mahomes is just saying, too deep.
So Mahomes,
the ocean is too deep and too wide for you to swim out of.
For him to not finish in the top,
burn at the stake with your Patrick Mahomes.
For him to finish outside of the top 5 this year, he would probably have to have about 100 less fantasy points than he did last year, right?
Let me pull out the numbers. I just want to see them right now.
Because he had 70 more fantasy points than the second person last year. Let me repeat that. He had 70 fantasy points more than the second-ranked quarterback last season.
I'm going to minus some things out. 354. It was 63. 63 fantasy points.
That's still a lot. 63 fantasy points more.
Yeah.
So you know how much of a decrease he'd have to have?
I think it all comes. I'm telling you right now. If Patrick Mahomes,
Tyreek Hill's only going to miss half the season. That's half the season.
Tyreek Hill is not God, Rick.
No, but he's one of the best receivers in the league, dude.
Is it possible for Patrick Mahomes to get to 35 touchdowns?
Yes.
Do you think that's
Yes.
reasonable for me to predict that he stops at 35 and that's it? Just take that.
I think it's reasonable for you
all right.
to predict that. Yes, I guess.
That's 60. That right there is a total of 15 less touchdowns, which is 60 less fantasy points. So if you want me to start pulling out fantasy points, I will continue doing this. He had last year 5,097 yards. Now, I don't think it's reasonably impossible for him to reach 5,000 yards because we've seen so many quarterbacks do it. Plus, the way he plays the game of football, it's not like he's not a quarterback that's going to throw 506 or complete 500 or 450 passes like Drew Brees would, you know what I mean, and put up 5,000 yards. So I think he could fall like 4,800 yards. That's not unreasonable to think either.
See,
at that point, you're talking about 70 less fantasy points. I think he could throw more interceptions.
No, I don't know about that.
As well as this is the key metric. Last year, Patrick Mahomes had 417 fantasy points. Matt Ryan had 354 fantasy points. Ben Roethlisberger had 341. Deshaun Watson had 331. Andrew Luck, 327. Aaron Rodgers, 312. Jared Goff, 310. Drew Brees, 303. How many quarterbacks did I just list with 300 plus fantasy points?
A decent amount.
8. One quarterback finished in 2017 with 300 plus fantasy points. Last year was a good year for fantasy quarterbacks. Like it was obscene how many.
So you're saying the whole competition is going to go down too, right?
I'm saying that every single quarterback is going to drop in fantasy points next year, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be triple that.
Well, see, I was just going to say
I'm not even saying that he is going to be like a sucky quarterback and fall completely out of the top 10 and suck. I'm saying he's going to go from 1 to 6. How hard is that?
Time out. It's not that hard. It's not.
I'm getting heated on Mahomes.
I've said everything you said. I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of fair, even though it's low end.
He says kind of fair. It's not low end. It's just
you just said every quarterback last year was inflated, so all their stats are going to go down. So what you're saying is if Mahomes does this and throws, let's just say you're right.
If Patrick Mahomes throws 35 to 40 touchdowns, yes, he'll probably finish in the top 3. I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think he's going to throw 35?
No, I think he's going to throw 30. 30 to 35 is where I kind of think he's going to go.
You don't think he's going to plays a full season, plays a full 16 games. You don't think he's going to throw 35?
No. I think he might reach 35.
Okay.
It's reasonable.
Okay.
You can let that speak for itself, but I just want to give you some numbers. So,
hello,
the
911? I have an emergency.
The year
this building is currently on fire. There was a take that was way too hot. It was a bold prediction. Yep, bold prediction.
In 2016, Aaron Rodgers finished with 380 fantasy points, right? In 2017, we all know what happened in 2017. He finished 29th because he got hurt. I look at the numbers from let's just go from let's do 2014 and 2015 instead, because he was the number 1 quarterback in 2014. In 2014, he finished with 4,381 yards and 38 touchdowns. The yardage is not really the difference maker for a quarterback. It's the touchdowns. It's the amount of touchdowns that the guy accumulates. So he had 38 touchdowns that year. Finished as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. In 2016, number 1 quarterback in fantasy, he hit 40. In those seasons, he threw over 444 yards, roughly. The season following, 2014, he threw 16 games, 3,821 yards, and 31 touchdowns in that season with 8 interceptions. Are you telling me that Patrick Mahomes, that if you were to ask fantasy football people in 2014, just coming off the spectacular year for Aaron Rodgers in 2014, and you were to tell fantasy football people and people who are drafting Aaron Rodgers number 1 that he was going to get 3,820 yards and like 8 less touchdowns, would you have believed them?
No.
So what I'm saying right now is unbelievable, but it could be feasible. And if it does happen, you're going to sit there and you're going to go, oh, frick.
I'm not going to...
I'm glad I didn't draft Patrick Mahomes because I wasn't drafting quarterbacks early.
Dude, are you kidding me? I'm definitely going to take Mahomes. I'm not saying your take is ridiculous. I'm not. I know I kind of have been, but...
It's just, I think he's going to still finish in the top, 7.
It's more just my personal love for Mahomes than anything, and I will admit that.
You got to let it go. I let go Aaron Jones' hate. You got to let go of Patrick Mahomes' love.
No, I will never let go of Patrick Mahomes' love, dude.
Yeah. I just think that the touchdowns will regress significantly.
I don't think... See, I think he'll still get 35. That's where we differ, I guess.
So
we both agree that
the sample size is so freaking small for quarterbacks who've done this before.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But Peyton Manning did throw 55 touchdowns. He holds the record. The following season after that, he threw 39, which, good God, Peyton. He's so good. He's so good at football. I'll go back to 2004. Manning threw 49 touchdowns in that season. Mm-hmm. That was 2004. Yeah, Peyton Manning in 2004.
Wow.
Following season, he had 28. 3,007. He had 4,500 yards and 49 touchdowns. Following season, 3,747 yards, 28 touchdowns. So for me, I think there's going to be, like, he threw basically 50 touchdowns and then threw 28. Good for a great season for a quarterback in the NFL, like 28 touchdowns, 28, 29, 30. So to jump in that thing and say, oh my God, he's definitely going to throw 40 or 35 or whatever. It's just hard for a quarterback to do that in general.
It is hard, but...
Yeah, like Mahomes is not there yet. He's not one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time yet. All right, give me your final bold take.
All right, this will be
before I start going further into this. I'm going to go deep dive into Tom Brady's stats right now for my own sanity.
We actually kind of both agree, I think. I don't know if you agree with me to this extent. And this is a bold prediction, so...
Oh, flip.
Sorry, I just dropped something. This is a bold prediction, so
yeah,
it's probably a little extreme to what you would think, but I don't think Brandon Cooks will finish as a top 30 wide receiver in fantasy.
Brandon Cooks?
Brandon Cooks.
I disagree.
Okay. Here's why. This is a bold prediction. I'm not saying that I don't think
top 30 is
top
hot.
30. Dude, this is called bold predictions. I came out with my hot, spicy takes. I don't know what you're doing.
You're saying Patrick Mahomes ain't gonna finish in the top 5.
This is the spiciest. Well, I don't know. Corey Davis is pretty spicy. These are two pretty spicy takes. Here's why. When all the big 3 wide receivers for the Rams were on the field last year, Brandon Cooks was the odd man out.
I'm sorry, I thought he was Robert Woods. I won't disagree with this one fully.
Oh, okay.
Although I think he's going to be an RB2. I mean, a wide receiver 2.
So, well, this is why it's bold, bro. You say one thing, exaggerated a little bit.
I'm just going to write RB3 in the notes.
You mean WR3, bro? Brandon Cooks, wide receiver.
I need to go to
So
sleep.
when all 3 guys were on the field for the Rams, Brandon Cooks was the odd man out. I think he was 22nd, when all 3 guys were out there among the receivers in the league. So me saying outside of top 30 is a little bit bold. But he was 22nd, and the team had statistically, with the Rams, the best offense in the NFL. So I don't think their offense is going to be as good next year as it was last year. Or it's kind of like what the Rams' second half offense. Oh, see, you're nodding your head. I'm getting you a little bit. And you take into account...
I'm still reading Brady's statistics.
Oh, that's why. So you take into account that Brandon Cooks has an injury history, which I don't think he was injured last year, was he?
No.
So I think chances are he's going to get hurt this year too. You take those 2 factors in. I'm trying to be quick right now because we spent 25 minutes on
Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes.
You take those 2 factors in, I think it's reasonable to say that Brandon Cooks is going to have a down year.
I don't disagree with that. I think that if they all stay healthy, that definitely would happen. I think a lot of people are extremely high on Brandon Cooks unnecessarily. He's not a slot receiver.
He's going like the 4th round right now.
He's an outside receiver, and I think people are going to get burned. I'm not going to go as bullish as you as finishing outside the top 30.
That's why it's a bold prediction, bro.
I think he could finish as an RB3. Dude,
you got
Oh my gosh. Wide receiver 3. Man, oh man. My brain's fried. So I don't think Brandon Cooks is going to finish as a wide receiver 2. I think he'll finish as a wide receiver 3, and a lot of people are going to be surprised by that. That'll do it for our bold prediction episode. It was a little bit longer than usual because of Patrick Mahomes.
It was just because Mahomes. You knew that was going to happen.
Either you need to chill out on your Mahomes love, or I need to chill out on my Mahomes hate.
Probably a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. But that'll do it for our bold predictions episode. I'm curious to see at the end of the season, to look back on this episode and see.
Oh, we're probably going to be like 0 for 6.
0 for 6. Yeah. Be sure to listen next week as we begin a new group of episodes about the best value picks from each position. We'll start off with quarterbacks on Tuesday. You got any closing thoughts for us, boss?
All right. Here's the real bold take.
Oh,
for the next 5 years, Patrick Mahomes will be the number 1 ranked quarterback in fantasy.
See you later. Champs.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.